The jungle was alive. It breathed like a giant beast. Trees stretched so high they blocked the stars. Their black shapes reached across the sky like claws, scratching the pale moon. Strange lights glowed on the forest floor, plants that pulsed, with colors no human eye had seen on earth. Every step crunched with wet leaves, every shadow seemed to move. Captain Riley moved carefully. His boots sank in the soft ground, making no sound. He kept his hand near his weapon. The jungle whispered with voices. Clicks, growls, and something deeper, like drums, in the bones of the earth. He was alone, far from his team, searching for signs of life. He felt eyes on him, watching, waiting. Then it came. A scream. Not the scream of an animal, not the cry of a beast. It was sharp, desperate, full of fear, and then words. "Human, please help my mom." Riley froze. His heart jumped. He gripped his weapon and turned fast. The words echoed through the trees. They were broken but clear. Someone or something spoke his language. "Who's there?" Riley called, his voice firm, though his chest tightened. From the shadows, something small moved. Leaves shook. A thin figure stumbled out from between glowing roots. Riley raised his weapon, ready, but then stopped. It was a child, not human. The child's skin shimmered like silver stone, smooth yet alive. Two wide eyes glowed faintly blue, filled with fear. Small hands trembled as they reached out, claws curling, into fists. "Please," the child whispered again, voice breaking. "My mother. Trapped. Savage hunters. Snare." Riley lowered his weapon a little, though his instincts screamed caution. The child was no bigger than a human 8-year-old. Its chest rose and fell in panic. It looked at Riley not as an enemy, but as a savior. "Show me," Riley said. His voice softened, but his muscles stayed tense. The child nodded quickly and turned, disappearing into the thick vines. Riley hesitated only a moment. Then he followed. The path twisted. Roots knotted like ropes. Strange insects crawled. Their bodies glowing like sparks. Somewhere in the distance, a long howl rolled through the jungle. The sound made Riley's skin crawl. The child looked back, urging him to move faster. Minutes felt like hours. Then, at last, they reached a clearing. Riley stopped. His eyes narrowed. In the center of the clearing stood a trap. It was no simple rope snare. It was a machine. Thick metal wires glowed with red light, humming with alien power. Inside the cage, pinned against the ground, was the child's mother. She was huge, twice Riley's height. Her silver skin scarred and bleeding where the wires cut deep. Her eyes, the same glowing blue as her child's, flicked open weakly. She let out a low, broken growl. "Mother," the child cried, rushing forward. The alien woman struggled, reaching out with one bloody hand, but the wires burned her skin. She roared in pain. Riley stepped closer, scanning the trap. It was built for strength. The wires pulsed with energy, designed not for beasts, but for intelligent prey. This was no accident. Someone had placed it here, waiting for victims. Riley's gut tightened. He knew this kind of cruelty. He had seen it in the wars back on Earth. He dropped to one knee, inspecting the mechanism. His fingers traced strange symbols etched into the metal. His training whispered inside his head. This was hunter's tech, advanced and precise. Whoever set this trap wasn't hunting for food. They hunted for sport. "Who did this?" Riley asked, eyes sharp. The child's voice shook. "Hunters. Savage hunters. They come at night. They take the strong. They laugh." The jungle around them groaned as if listening. Distant sounds echoed again, deep thuds like footsteps. Riley's jaw clenched. He rose slowly, scanning the dark. He felt the air grow heavy. Predators were close. The child grabbed his hand, fingers cold and shaking. "Please, I'll help her before they come." Riley looked at the mother, trapped and bleeding, the wires cutting deeper each second. He looked at the child's wide, desperate eyes. Then he looked into the shadows where something unseen was already watching. He had a choice. Turn back, save himself, or stand against whatever monsters hunted here. He remembered Earth. He remembered humans rising against impossible odds. And he knew one truth. Humans don't run when someone begs for help. The jungle fell silent. No wind, no animals, no sound, but the hum of the snare. The child's breath came fast, the mother's growl weak, the shadows deeper than night. Riley tightened his grip on his weapon. His voice was calm but firm. "Show me how to open it," he said. The child's face lit with fragile hope. But before the child could speak, the forest answered. From far away, a drumbeat began. Boom, boom, boom. Closer, louder, like a heartbeat of death. The hunters were coming, and Riley had only moments to act. The trap, the glow of the snare filled the clearing like a sick heartbeat. Red lines of energy crawled across the metal frame, sparking against the damp air. The hum was sharp and steady, like a swarm of angry insects frozen in one place. Captain Riley stepped closer, studying the strange machine. He had seen traps before. On Earth, in the war zones, he had walked battlefields where men built cages for each other. But this was worse. The wires were alive. They tightened each time the alien woman struggled, digging deeper into her flesh. Her silver skin cracked where the wires burned, leaving black scars. Each time she roared, the sound shook the clearing. It was not the cry of a victim. It was the cry of a warrior chained down. Riley felt his throat tighten. This was not just a trap for an animal. It was a weapon designed to break pride. Whoever built it wanted their prey to suffer before the end. The child dropped to its knees beside the mother. Small hands pressed against the glowing wire, only to be shocked back with a violent spark. The child cried out in pain and pulled away, shaking its fingers. "Stay back," Riley barked, rushing forward. The child's eyes filled with tears, but it obeyed, crawling behind him. Riley knelt beside the machine. His fingers hovered over the red-lit metal. He could feel the vibration, almost like the trap was breathing. He searched for a release, a trigger, a weak point. But the design was alien, filled with runes and strange marks. "Damn," he muttered. The mother turned her head. Her glowing eyes met Riley's. She was in pain, but there was something else in her gaze. A warning, a plea, and beneath it all, fury. Her lips moved, speaking a word he didn't know. The child translated, voice trembling. She says, "They are near, the hunters. You must go, they will kill you." Riley's jaw set hard. "Not leaving, not until she's free." The child looked stunned, then afraid. "You don't understand. Hunters never lose. They own this jungle." Riley almost smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the grim smile of a soldier who had heard those words before. On Earth, many enemies had claimed to own the battlefield. But in the end, it was the human dead who paid the price, and the survivors who wrote the story. "Show me the weak spot," Riley said. The child crept closer, eyes darting to the glowing lines. "There, under the base. But if you touch it wrong, it will cut her in half." Riley's stomach turned cold. He crouched lower, pushing aside wet leaves. Sure enough, under the mud, a cluster of black wires tangled like roots. The energy pulsed stronger here. One wrong move and the trap would tighten instantly. He exhaled slowly. "All right. Easy does it." He pulled out a tool from his belt, part blade, part cutter. His hand was steady, though his pulse hammered in his ears. He worked the edge between the wires, searching for the right strand. The hum grew louder, reacting to his touch. Sparks jumped, burning his gloves. Behind him, the jungle groaned. Something moved in the distance. Branches cracked, leaves trembled. The sound of heavy feet crushing soil carried through the night. Riley didn't look up. He couldn't afford to. The child whispered, voice sharp with panic. "They are close. I can smell them." "Then keep quiet," Riley muttered, his focus unbroken. "If they find us, we're dead anyway." The mother let out another roar, twisting against the wires. Blood spilled down her arm. The machine pulsed, reacting. The wires tightened. Riley cursed, working faster. Then, he saw it. A single strand, darker than the rest. It pulsed slower, out of rhythm, like a heartbeat skipping. Instinct told him this was the core. Cut it and the snare would break. Cut wrong and the trap would crush her. He steadied his blade. "Hold still," he whispered, though he knew she couldn't understand. The child pressed close to his side, eyes wide with hope and fear. Riley sliced. The blade bit into the wire. Sparks exploded, blinding white. The machine screamed with a sharp metallic wail. The jungle lit up like fire. The mother roared in agony as the snare spasmed. "Come on, come on," Riley growled, forcing the cutter deeper. The hum grew unstable. Energy surged, flooding the clearing with red light. The machine shook like a living thing in its death throes. Then, snap. The core wire split. The red glow died. The hum stopped. The machine sagged, lifeless, and the wires loosened. The alien mother collapsed, gasping. Blood ran from her wounds, but she was free. Riley staggered back, chest heaving. His gloves were burned, his blade cracked, but the job was done. He looked at the mother. Her breathing was rough but steady. She raised her head and met his eyes. For a moment, there was no sound, only the dripping of blood on wet leaves. Then, the silence shattered. Boom. A drumbeat rolled through the jungle. Boom. Boom. Closer now. Louder. The ground shook with every beat. The child grabbed Riley's arm, trembling. They are here. They know she is free. Riley lifted his weapon, turning toward the shadows. His voice was low, steady. Then let them come. The jungle answered with a roar of beasts and the crack of branches. Shapes moved in the dark, closing in. The hunters had arrived, and Riley, standing tall beside the freed alien mother and her child, knew this was only the beginning. The hunters approached. The jungle trembled. Boom, boom, boom. The drum beats rolled through the trees like thunder. Each beat echoed inside Riley's chest, deep and steady, as if the forest itself had a heartbeat. The alien child clung to his arm, eyes wide with terror. "They come," the child whispered. Its voice cracked. The hunters, Captain Riley, stood tall, weapon ready, eyes scanning the shadows. The mother lay on the ground, breathing hard, silver skin bleeding where the snare had cut her. She tried to rise, but her strength failed. Her growl was low, warning and proud at the same time. The forest around them shifted. Vines shook. Leaves rustled without wind. Riley felt it. The sense of being watched. Many eyes, cold and patient. Predators circling. "They're already here," Riley muttered. Then he saw them. Figures moved between the trees. At first they looked like shadows. Tall, silent, slipping from trunk to trunk. Then the firelight from the broken snare caught them. Armor, masks, weapons that glowed with cruel light. The hunters. They stood taller than Riley, broad and built for killing. Their armor was dark bone and metal, carved with marks of victory. Each mask had a long jaw and sharp teeth carved into it as if to mock their prey. One of them stepped forward, dragging a heavy spear that sparked with energy. Its voice came out deep, distorted through the mask. "Prey has escaped," it growled. "But the game continues." Another hunter laughed, a harsh sound. "New prey is here too. Human prey. Weak. Fragile." Riley gritted his teeth. He didn't understand all of their words, but their tone was enough. He had heard hunters before. Back in the wars on Earth, he had seen soldiers who killed not to survive, but to enjoy the kill. These creatures were the same. The child hid behind Riley, trembling. "They will take her," it whispered, "and they will take you." Riley kept his eyes locked on the hunters. His voice was low but strong. "Not without a fight." The hunters spread out, forming a circle. Their footsteps were heavy but slow, confident. They didn't rush. They thought victory was already theirs. Riley knew that kind of arrogance. It was dangerous, but it was also a weakness. He crouched low, adjusting his grip on the weapon. His mind moved fast. He counted 3 hunters in sight. But more shadows moved in the trees. 5, 6, maybe more. The mother tried to rise again. Her wounded arm shook. Blood dripped onto the ground, but her eyes burned with fury. Even broken, she was ready to fight. The hunters noticed. One pointed at her with his spear. "Strong prey, worthy kill. Take her head," the child cried out. "No!" The hunters laughed, their voices cruel. One raised his weapon, ready to strike. Riley moved. He stepped in front of the mother, raising his weapon. His voice rang out across the clearing. "You want her?" His tone was cold, sharp like steel. "You'll have to go through me." The hunters stopped for a moment. Their masks tilted. Then one of them barked something in their language, mocking, dismissive. "A human," the leader growled. "You are not a warrior. You are meat." Riley's lips curled into a grim smile. "Try me." For a long second, no one moved. The jungle held its breath. Even the insects went silent. Then, crack. One of the hunters slammed his spear into the ground. The forest shook with the sound, a signal. The hunt had begun. The circle tightened. Hunters moved closer, weapons raised. Their armor reflected the faint glow of the snare's dying light. The air smelled of ozone and blood. Riley felt the child's small hand grip his sleeve. He didn't look back. He couldn't. Instead, he lowered his voice, speaking to the alien, mother at his side. "Can you stand?" She bared her teeth, forcing herself up despite the pain. "Fight," she growled in her own tongue. The child translated quickly. "She says she will fight until death." Riley nodded once. "Good. Then we make them bleed first." The first hunter lunged. It was fast, too fast for its size. The plasma spear whistled through the air, aimed straight for Riley's chest. But Riley had fought enemies faster than him before. He sidestepped, swinging his weapon low. The blade sparked as it scraped across the hunter's armor. Not deep enough to kill, but enough to make it stumble. The jungle exploded with noise. The hunters roared. The mother swung her arm, claws slicing, through one attacker's mask. Sparks flew as metal split. The child screamed, not in fear, but in rage. Riley fought with the raw, desperate fury of humanity. No armor, no advanced weapons. Just speed, strength, and the will to survive. The hunters were skilled. They had numbers. They had technology. But Riley had something else, something they didn't understand. Humans don't play the game of prey. The battle was only beginning, but already the hunters hesitated. For the first time, they saw prey that refused to bow. And Riley, chest heaving, eyes burning, knew this fight was far from over. The drums grew louder. More hunters were coming, and the forest whispered of blood. The human choice. The clearing burned. With tension, the hunters tightened their circle, their masks gleaming in the faint red glow of the broken snare. Their armor rattled softly as they moved, weapons sparking with cruel light. They were patient, like wolves closing in on wounded prey. The alien mother stood, blood dripping from her wounds, chest heaving. She was tall and strong, but weakened by the trap. The child crouched behind her, trembling, wide eyes fixed on the killers who surrounded them. And in the middle of it all, Captain Riley. He stood with his weapon low, shoulders squared, every sense sharp. His breath was steady, though. His heart pounded in his chest like the jungle's drumbeat. The hunters advanced slowly, their voices rumbling. One of them, larger than the rest, pointed at Riley with his spear. "Human," the voice growled. "Run. Leave the prey. Live one more night." Another laughed. "Yes. Run, little meat. Run and scream. We will find you later." The circle echoed with cruel laughter. Riley said nothing. His eyes scanned the ground, the trees, the shadows. Every branch, every root, every flame from the burning vines he had set earlier. He wasn't just looking at enemies. He was looking at the battlefield. He thought of Earth. He thought of ruined cities, trenches filled with smoke and fire. He thought of men who said, "Run, hide, you are finished." And he remembered the answer he had given then. The answer all humans gave, "Never." Riley straightened. His voice was calm, but it carried like steel through the clearing. "I don't run." The hunters froze for a heartbeat. Their masks tilted, confusion flickering. Prey was supposed to beg, to cry, to break, not to stand tall. The child gasped softly. The mother's eyes flared with fire. One hunter snarled, "Then die." The circle tightened again. Riley's mind worked fast. He couldn't match their weapons. He couldn't match their armor. But humans had always fought stronger enemies. And they had survived because of one thing: choice. The choice to fight. When all logic said surrender, he crouched low, grabbed a burning branch from the ground and lifted it high. The flames snapped and twisted in the humid air. The hunters hesitated. Fire was not their weapon. Fire was chaos, unpredictable, untamed. Humans had lived with fire since the dawn of time. These hunters feared it. Riley grinned grimly. "You want a game? Play mine." He thrust the torch into the dry leaves at his feet. Flames leapt, racing outward. The jungle caught fire, smoke twisting into the sky. The circle broke as hunters stepped back, wary. Their discipline cracked for the first time. The mother growled in approval, standing taller. The child clutched Riley's leg, eyes wide with hope. But the hunters were not cowards. One roared, charging through the flames, spear aimed for Riley's chest. Riley didn't move back. He moved forward. He dropped the burning torch, rolled under the spear, and slammed his shoulder into the hunter's chest. The creature was larger, heavier, but not ready for a human's reckless momentum. It stumbled, crashing into the fire. Its armor smoked as the flames licked across it. The other hunters roared in anger. Riley rose, breathing hard, blade in hand. His voice cut the night. "You think we're prey? You're wrong. Humans are predators." The words made the hunters pause. Even through their masks, Riley could feel their shock. The mother stepped beside him now, towering, claws dripping blood. She bared her teeth in a savage smile. Her voice came out raw but powerful. "Together." Riley nodded once. "Together." The hunters attacked again. Two came at Riley from opposite sides. He ducked under one strike, swung his weapon hard, and cut into the joint of the other's armor. Sparks flew. The hunter howled, staggering back. The mother slammed her fist into another attacker, sending him crashing into a tree. The trunk cracked, splinters flying. The child, though small, didn't stay silent. It picked up a sharp rock and hurled it, striking a hunter's mask. The hunter snarled, turning, but that single second of distraction gave Riley his chance. He lunged, driving his blade deep into the hunter's side. Blood sprayed. The hunter collapsed. The circle faltered. For the first time, the hunters looked uncertain. Their prey was fighting back. Their prey was winning ground. Riley stood in the flames, chest heaving, face lit by fire. He was covered in sweat, dirt, and blood, but his eyes burned brighter than the jungle itself. "You came to hunt," he said, voice like thunder. "But humans don't get hunted. Humans fight." The hunters growled, regrouping. Their leader stepped forward, raising his spear high. His voice boomed. "This is no longer a hunt, this is war." Riley raised his weapon in answer. "Good. War is what we do best." The clearing erupted in fire and steel as both sides charged, and in that moment, the hunters learned something no creature of the stars had ever told them. Humans were never prey. The clash, the clearing burned like a furnace. Flames spread across the jungle floor, crawling up vines, crackling along fallen logs. Smoke swirled in the humid night air, thick and bitter. The red glow lit the hunters' armor, turning them, into shadows of monsters. Captain Riley stood at the heart of the fire, blade in one hand, torch in the other. His eyes glared through the smoke. He looked less like prey and more like a man ready to burn the world down with him. The alien mother stood at his side. Her silver skin was cut and bleeding, but she rose tall, her claws gleaming in the firelight. Her breath was heavy, but her spirit was fierce. Behind her, the child crouched low, eyes blazing with fear and hope. The hunters advanced. Their leader raised his spear high, the blade sparking with blue plasma. His voice boomed through the masks. "Tonight we hunt warriors. Tonight we claim honor." The other hunters roared, pounding their weapons against their armor. The sound was thunder, shaking the ground. They stepped forward as one, moving like a pack. Riley didn't back down. He whispered to himself, voice steady. "All right. Come and get it." The first hunter lunged, spear slashing through the smoke. Riley rolled to the side, the heat of the plasma grazing his arm. He gritted his teeth and swung his blade low, cutting across the hunter's knee. Sparks flew as armor cracked. The beast stumbled, roaring. Before Riley could finish him, another hunter charged. The spear thrust straight at his chest. He lifted the burning torch, smashing it against the weapon. Fire erupted up the shaft. The hunter howled, dropping the spear as flames licked his hands. The mother struck then, her claws slicing across the hunter's chest. Armor split, flesh tore, blood sprayed into the fire. The creature fell back, screaming. The jungle echoed, with chaos. 3 hunters pressed forward at once, weapons raised. Riley ducked one strike, blocked another, then kicked the third hard in the stomach. Pain jolted through his leg. The hunter was built like stone, but the force shoved it back, into the flames. The child shouted, picking up stones and hurling them into the fray. One rock struck a hunter's mask, cracking the eye plate. The creature roared in fury, turning toward the small figure. "No!" Riley bellowed. He lunged, blade flashing. He drove it into the hunter's arm, forcing it back before it could reach. The child. The hunter's blood sizzled as it hit the fire. The circle of hunters wavered. For the first time they hesitated. Their prey was not fleeing. Their prey was fighting and winning ground. The leader snarled, furious. He pointed his spear toward Riley. "Kill the human!" 2 hunters rushed him at once. Riley had no time to think. He blocked one strike with his blade, sparks exploding. The second hunter swung low, hitting his side. Pain tore through him, but he didn't fall. He twisted, slamming his torch into the second hunter's mask. Fire clung to the armor, smoke rising. The mother grabbed the first hunter, lifting him off the ground with raw strength. Her claws tore into his throat. His body fell limp into the flames. Riley staggered back, chest heaving. Sweat poured down his face. Blood dripped from a cut on his side. His vision blurred, but his grip never loosened. He lifted his weapon again, ready for more. The child ran to his side, voice desperate. "You are hurt. You must stop." Riley's teeth clenched. His answer was firm. "Humans don't stop. Not until it's done." The leader stepped forward. Now. His armor was thicker, his spear longer, the blade humming with power. He moved with the confidence of countless victories. He pointed the weapon at Riley. "You are strong. For prey. But strength is nothing against the hunt." Riley spat blood into the fire. His eyes narrowed. "Funny. I was about to say the same thing." The leader roared and charged. The clash shook the clearing. The spear slashed at Riley's chest. He blocked with his blade, the impact sending pain up his arm. Sparks flew. The leader pushed harder, his strength crushing. Riley's knees buckled, but he didn't break. He shouted, forcing the spear aside, then slammed his torch into the leader's chest. Fire spread across the armor, smoke rising. The leader snarled, swinging his weapon wide. The strike clipped Riley's shoulder, sending him spinning to the ground. The child screamed. The mother roared, leaping at the leader. Her claws raked across his mask, tearing a deep scar. The leader staggered, but with brutal speed he swung his spear and slashed her side. Blood poured. She dropped to one knee, gasping. Riley pushed himself up, vision swimming. His arm throbbed with pain, his body screamed to stop. But deep inside, a fire burned hotter than the jungle flames. Humans don't quit. With a roar, he charged. He drove his blade straight into the gap in the leader's armor. The steel sank deep. The leader howled, staggering back. Riley wrenched the blade free and swung again, cutting across the spear shaft. The weapon snapped in two. The leader fell, to one knee clutching his wound. His mask glared with hate and shock. The other hunters froze. Their leader, broken by a human. Riley stood tall in the fire, bloodied, burned, but unbroken. His voice thundered, "You thought we were prey, but humans are the hunters now." The clearing fell silent, except for the crackle of fire and the groans of the fallen. And in that silence, the hunters finally understood. The savage turn. The jungle burned. Smoke curled up into the night sky, blotting out the pale moon. Flames crawled across roots and leaves, their crackle mixing with the groans of wounded hunters. The air stank of blood, metal, and ash. Captain Riley stood in the firelight, chest heaving, blade dripping red. His arms shook from exhaustion, his side burned with pain where the spear had cut him. But his eyes burned brighter than ever. At his feet, the hunter's leader knelt, clutching the broken shaft of his weapon. The scar across his mask glowed red where fire had scorched it. His heavy breaths came in growls of rage, but his eyes showed something new: fear. Around him, the circle of hunters wavered. Their formation was broken. Some limped back, some raised their weapons nervously, and some stared at Riley in disbelief. Their prey had turned into a predator, but it wasn't just Riley anymore. The alien mother rose. Her wounds were deep, her body broken from the trap, but her spirit burned hotter than the flames. Blood poured from her side, yet her massive frame straightened, claws glinting in the firelight. Her glowing blue eyes locked onto the hunters, and she roared. It was no cry of pain. It was the roar of vengeance. The sound shook the clearing. Birds exploded from the trees. Even the hunters froze at the primal fury in her voice. The child scrambled to her side, eyes wide, voice breaking. "Mother, no, you are too weak." She bared her teeth, looking down at Riley for a moment. In her alien tongue, she growled a single word. The child translated, trembling. She says, "Fight together." Riley's lips curled into a grim smile. He tightened his grip on the blade. "Together, then." The hunters snarled, anger overtaking hesitation. One barked an order, and three charged at once, spears stabbing forward. The mother moved like a storm. She swung her massive arm, claws slicing through one hunter's chest. Armor cracked, flesh tore, blood sprayed into the air. She grabbed another, by the throat, lifting him off the ground. With a savage twist, she hurled him into the fire. His screams filled the clearing as the flames consumed him. The third lunged at Riley, spear thrusting low. Riley sidestepped, catching the shaft with his arm, ignoring the burn as it scraped his skin. He yanked hard, pulling the hunter off balance. With a roar, he drove his blade deep into the gap of its armor. The creature collapsed, choking on its own blood. The hunters faltered. Their leader staggered to his feet, bellowing in rage. "Kill them! All of them!" But his words carried less power now. Fear had spread through the pack. Their prey wasn't dying. Their prey was fighting like demons. The mother charged again, her claws a blur. One hunter tried to block, but her strength shattered his defense. She ripped through his armor, tearing him apart. Her silver skin was stained red now, but she didn't stop. Riley fought at her side, fire blazing around him. His movements were raw, reckless, but every strike carried purpose. He fought not for survival, but for defiance. Every cut, every slash, screamed the truth. Humans don't bow. The child shouted encouragement, voice ringing above the chaos. "Strike him, human. Strike him, mother. Make them fall." Another hunter tried to flank. Riley spun, grabbing a burning branch from the ground. He hurled it into the hunter's face. Fire clung to its mask, smoke pouring out. The creature clawed at its own helmet, screaming. Riley lunged and drove his blade into its chest, ending it. The mother slammed another into the dirt, crushing his skull beneath her claws. The ground shook with the impact. Blood painted the clearing now. The hunters who remained hesitated, glancing between their wounded leader and the two figures standing in the firelight. The human and the alien mother, scarred, bleeding, but unbroken, fought as one. For the first time in their long history of hunts, the predators doubted themselves. Riley's voice thundered through the smoke. "You thought we were prey. You thought we would run, but humans don't run. We fight," the mother echoed with a roar that shook the trees. Her cry was alien, but the meaning was clear. Defiance. The leader charged again, fury overtaking fear. His broken spear blade glowed blue with deadly energy. He swung at Riley, strength fueled by rage. Riley met him head-on. Sparks exploded as blade met blade. The leader shoved hard, forcing Riley back toward the fire. Riley's boots slid in the ash, but he didn't break. He held his ground, teeth bared. The mother lunged from the side, claws ripping into the leader's arm. The spear dropped, clattering into the flames. The leader roared in pain, staggering. Riley seized the moment, slamming his blade deep into the creature's chest. The leader howled, collapsing to his knees again. Blood poured from the wound. He glared at Riley with hatred and disbelief. "You are no prey," he growled, voice breaking. Riley's eyes burned. His voice was low, cold, final. "You're damn right." With a savage strike, he tore the blade free. The leader fell, crashing into the dirt. Silence. The hunters who remained stepped back. Their leader was dead. The fire roared around them, painting the night red. The jungle itself seemed to watch. The mother stood tall, bloodied, but victorious. Riley stood beside her, chest heaving, weapon slick with crimson. The child clung to both of them, tears in its eyes, not of fear, but of pride. The hunters looked at each other. Then, one by one, they fled into the jungle, disappearing into the smoke. Their drums fell silent. For the first time in this cursed jungle, the hunters had been hunted. Riley lowered his blade slowly, his body shaking. The mother leaned against him, her massive frame heavy, but her eyes still fierce. The child whispered, softly, voice trembling with awe, "Human, you are different." Riley looked at the bodies scattered around them, at the flames licking higher into the night. His answer was quiet, but it carried through the fire. "We're human. We don't quit. Remember that." The jungle exhaled in silence. The clash was over. But above, high in the sky, unseen by the victors, a ship's shadow moved across the stars. The true hunt had only begun. The legacy. The jungle was silent. For the first time since the night began, there were no drums, no roars, no hunters, circling in the dark. Only the crackle of dying flames and the heavy breaths of survivors. The ground was painted with ash and blood. The bodies of fallen hunters lay twisted among the roots, their armor broken, their weapons burned. Captain Riley stood in the clearing, his blade hanging loose at his side. His body ached, his clothes were torn, and his skin stung with cuts and burns. Smoke clung to his lungs, making every breath sharp. Yet he stood tall. His eyes stayed fierce. Beside him, the alien mother leaned heavily against a charred tree. Her silver skin was scarred and bleeding, but her chest rose and fell strong. Her glowing blue eyes burned with pride. She had fought. She had bled. But she was alive. The child clung to her arm, sobbing with relief. Its tears sparkled faintly in the firelight like drops of crystal. "Mother, you are safe," it whispered, voice trembling. Then it turned to Riley, eyes wide with awe. "And you? You saved her. You saved us." Riley looked down at the child, his jaw tight. He had seen many battlefields. He had buried friends, heard the cries of the broken. Saving even one family felt like a victory worth more than medals. He knelt, resting a hand on the child's shoulder. His voice was low but steady. "No one should be hunted. Not your mother. Not you. Not anyone." The child blinked, confused. "But that is their way. They hunt. They always win. No one stops them. Riley's eyes narrowed, his words sharp as steel. They've never hunted humans before. The mother lifted her head, speaking in her guttural tongue. Her words were heavy, carrying deep meaning. The child translated softly. She says, "They will return. More will come. They will not forgive this night." Riley glanced at the bodies scattered in the dirt. He knew it was true. Predators like these didn't give up. They would come again. Stronger, smarter, and not just for this family. His gaze lifted to the sky. Through the smoke, the stars burned bright, and among them, faint and silent, a shadow moved. A ship. Huge. Watching. Riley's chest tightened. He didn't need translation to know what it meant. The hunters above had seen everything. The child followed his gaze and shivered. "Their ship," it whispered. "They mark prey from the sky. They will mark you now." Riley's jaw clenched. The thought was chilling. Humanity added to their list. Earth marked as hunting grounds. He imagined their ships descending, cities burning, people taken like trophies. But another thought burned hotter. They would find out the truth. Humans weren't trophies. He looked back at the child, his voice quiet but unshakable. "Then let them come. Let them hunt. They'll learn what it means to face us." The mother watched him, silent, but her eyes softened. She understood. The jungle air shifted. The flames dimmed, leaving only glowing embers. The night grew heavy again, but the silence felt different, no longer filled with fear, but with warning. Riley sheathed his blade. His body screamed for rest, but his mind was already moving. He couldn't stay here. He needed to warn others. If hunters could build snares on this world, they could build them anywhere. The child tugged his sleeve gently. "Will you leave us?" Riley looked at the small, trembling figure. His voice was softer now, almost kind. "No, not until I know you're safe. Humans don't abandon family." The child's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were tears of hope. It hugged him suddenly, small arms wrapping around his waist. "You are different," it whispered. "Humans are different." Riley placed a hand on the child's head, staring past the burning clearing into the shadows of the jungle. His mind replayed the fight, the arrogance of the hunters, their cruel laughter, the way they saw life only as trophies. His teeth clenched. Humanity had enemies before, empires, tyrants, armies. And humanity had survived, not because they were the strongest, but because they refused to break. The hunters didn't know it yet. But tonight, they had made a mistake. They had marked humans, and humans were not prey. Above the trees, the ship shifted silently across the stars, watching, recording. Then it vanished into the dark, leaving only the quiet of the night. Riley turned back to the mother and child. His voice was tired but fierce. "Rest now. Tomorrow we move. Tomorrow we make a plan." The child tilted its head. "A plan?" Riley nodded. "If they come for me, if they come for Earth, we'll be ready." The mother raised her head slowly. Her voice came out low, rough, but strong. The child translated, "She says, she will fight with you." Riley allowed himself the smallest smile. "Good. Then they don't stand a chance." The jungle wind stirred the ashes, carrying sparks into the night sky. It was a new dawn waiting to rise. And far above, in the endless dark of space, the hunters carved a new name into their lists. Human, the hunt was coming. But this time the galaxy would learn. Humanity hunts back.